Okay, so here's the tea. What if I told you that 96% of visitors leave your website without buying anything? So, what that means is only 4% of people who see your website convert, so they purchase something. The thing to understand though is that because they didn't purchase anything on your website, it doesn't mean that that's the end of their journey, right? And there's something called a customer journey. And if you understand that journey, those people who left, you can easily guide them back, but not just guide them back, actually turn them into loyal customers. So today we're going to explore exactly what that means, your customer journey map, what it is, why it matters, and how you can map it to transform your business. So let's get right into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Stephanie and I help small businesses understand their customers better to drive real growth. So if you want anything related to small business marketing, this is where you want to be. So if you're not following the channel already, I'm just going to pause and give you a moment to follow because what are you waiting for? Done? Awesome. Okay, let's get right into today's video. So what is the customer journey? Think of it as the complete story of your customer's experience with your brand. So from the very first moment they become aware of a problem that they have, so something they need to solve, all the way to them becoming a loyal advocate of your business, who then refers other people to your business. So it's not just about the moment that they buy from you, right? It doesn't start there. It also doesn't end there. That's actually just a very small part of a much longer story. So the customer journey really includes and involves every touch point, every interaction they have with you, every emotion that your customer experiences related to your brand or the problem that you're here to solve. So, you know what? Let me break it down with a very real example. So, let's say Sarah is a working mom who's really struggled with meal planning. Her journey might start when she's scrolling through social media and maybe she sees a friend complaining about the same issue, right? And that plants a seed in her heart. And I think we've all had that same experience where we have a need and then we start to notice ads on our social media about the exact same thing we were just talking about. Are they listening in? I don't know. I can't confirm, neither can I deny, right? But basically, Sarah starts to see ads for meal planning apps. And she might Google something like easy meal planning for busy families. And so she's reading through blog posts, she's comparing different solutions, right? And maybe she even downloads a free guide that you have available on your website. She reads some reviews, she tries a free trial, and she finally decides to make a purchase. But even then, let's say her journey continues as she continues to use your product, and potentially she then becomes someone who recommends it to her friends. So that's an example of what a customer journey is. Now, you probably might be thinking, isn't that just a sales funnel? And that's if you're familiar with terms like this, right? But really, not quite. Traditional sales funnels are seen to be very linear, right? Where it starts at an awareness stage, it goes to consideration, and then it eventually leads to a purchase. But really, real customer journeys are very messy. Like, think about the last time you purchased something or made a decision to purchase something. Chances are you had seen it a million times before, but just never went around getting it. Maybe you got it, but you didn't quite become a loyal customer after having it once. You had to keep going back. Right. So someone like Sarah, right, the example I used, she might jump from the awareness stage right into comparison shopping. So like comparing different options and then going back into research and then to your competitor and then coming back to you. So the customer journey, just like every other thing in life, is not a straight line. It's really more of like, I like to describe it as like a complex dance or like a complex tango. So today I'm going to break down 5 different stages of the customer journey. And this is important to note as a business owner because it really helps you understand your customers and your clients better and even potential customers, right? And what gets them to you. So let's break down 5 key stages. The first is what is referred to as the awareness stage, right? So this is where your potential customer first realizes that they have a problem or a need, right? They might not even know that your solution exists or even a solution exists. So in this stage, you have people asking questions like, why do I feel so, okay, using the Sarah example, right? But why do I feel so disorganized with my meal planning? Or is there a better way to handle this, right? And they're in that research stage, they're reading articles, they might be talking to friends, which is why word of mouth is extremely important, or they might be browsing through social media. If you're like me, you're probably using TikTok as a search engine. And so when you have a need, you just very quick search, right? And basically, you're there as a business owner or an entrepreneur, or you might even be a marketer yourself who's watching this, isn't to sell to them, it's to be helpful and to be visible. So at this point in time, when you're creating content for this group of people, you want to create content that addresses their pain points, right? So, for example, with the Sarah example, you might create a blog post like 5 signs that you need a better meal planning system, right? Or you just create content on social media or wherever it might be, maybe like search, or blogs show up on search, something that just really resonates with whatever it is that they're struggling with at that point in time, right? You kind of want to show up as like an expert, and you should be an expert if you are solving that particular problem, right? So you want to be that helpful expert who shows up when they're trying to understand their problem better. So the second stage after that is what we call consideration. Now they know that they have a problem. You've also helped them to be able to voice what that problem is, why they feel what they feel, and you've described it in words. And so now they're at that stage where they're actively looking for solutions. So this is where they start researching different approaches. In the case of Sarah, right, who's trying to figure out her meal planning, she might start to look into meal planning apps or meal kit services. She might be interested in hiring a meal planning consultant or just having a better organizational system for herself. So at this point in time, that customer in the consideration stage is comparing different options. They're reading reviews, they're watching comparison videos, and they want to understand what is available on the market and what will work to their specific situation. Right? Because in that industry, there might be different kinds of solutions, but which one speaks specifically to them? And that's why it's important to know your unique value prop. So basically, the kind of content you want to create at this stage, the consideration stage, should be educational, but it should also start to position your solution, right? So you might want to create things like comparison guides. You go on a website, I think of like the podcast platform I'm using, and they show you like comparison between different kinds of platforms and what they offer. You want to create content like, detailed how to videos, you want to create case studies, you want to offer free trials, right? They work really well at the consideration stage, because at this point in time, because they're actively looking, if they see something like a free trial, chances are they get to test it out without spending money. Now, the third stage is called the decision stage. And this is where they're ready to choose a solution, right? So they've looked at all the multiple different options on the markets. They've narrowed it down to a few options. So again, in the case of Sarah, maybe it's a meal planning app and 2 other competitors. And now they're looking at specific features. They're looking at the pricing, right? Which is why when you're doing your pricing, you have to do a lot of research as to what is offered. And so at that point in time, that potential customer is trying to determine which option gives them the best value, right? And so at this point in time, you want to create things like, detailed product and service information, customer testimonials, clear pricing, any sort of like the free trials also come in handy here. So just things that, for example, like reduce the risk of them trying out your product. So at this point in time, they really need the confidence that they're making the right choice, that your business is the right option to go with. Now, the next stage, which is the fourth stage, is called the purchase stage. So the purchase stage can seem to be very straightforward, but it's where many businesses easily drop the ball, and it's such a crucial and important stage. So purchasing is not just about completing the transaction. It's about making the buying process so smooth that you're reinforcing to them that they've made the best decision ever by going with you and with your business, right? So this includes everything from a user-friendly checkout process to communication after they purchase, sending them maybe a welcome email, providing clear next steps, and really delivering value immediately they receive what it is that they've paid for. Because if you've heard of the term buyer's remorse, it's very real, and you want to prevent it before it even starts, right? So at this point in time, they've done all of that work. They've gone through 3 different stages. You've put in efforts with your content. Don't ruin the stage with bad customer service. I say it all the time. Please stop. Stop with bad customer service. Just stop it, guys. Please, please. At this stage in time, everything is really crucial. Your welcome email, the email they receive after purchase, how you communicate with them, all of these things are important, and you want to make sure that you have them set up so flawlessly that they know this is the right person, right? And then the final stage, stage 5, is called the retention or advocacy stage. So this is arguably one of the most valuable stages, because this is where customers become repeat buyers and eventually they begin to advocate for your brand. So think about a brand or a business that you've purchased from, and because you had such a good experience, you can't stop talking about it and you keep telling people about it. Honestly, word of mouth is really one of the best ways till tomorrow to get clients, especially for small business owners. You really cannot joke with referrals. And so it's such an important stage. And if you've gone through stage 1 to 4, and the service has been really good, the content has been good, you've really reaffirmed them, and then your product or your service is exceptional, and so it really gives them something that they do want to talk about, they become loyal fans and buyers of your brand, right? So you want to focus on ongoing value delivery, you want to provide excellent customer service, you want to create opportunities for customers to share their success stories, and then just keep optimizing one stage at a time based off of the availability that you have and also your resources. But you want to make sure that you have this in mind. It really also helps with knowing what kinds of content to create. So you're not just creating sales content all the time, you're creating content for every single stage of that journey. Well, thanks guys for watching today's video. If you found this video helpful, please make sure that you click the like button and please subscribe. Obviously, if I have over 100 and something views on these videos, some 200 and something views, it means there's people that are watching that are not subscribed. That's not nice. It's not nice. So please subscribe. I find it very supportive. We're currently at 95 and I'm trying to get to 100. So if you find this very helpful, please make sure that you like, you share, and you subscribe. But also, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments, or you can also send me a DM on Instagram. Until then, keep optimizing your journey and I will see you in the next video.